How's Andrew's ankle doing? Nope.
I'm not working.
I'll speak up loud.
Just yell, yeah.
How's Andrew's ankle doing?
Andrew went through practice today, but we didn't do anything live. It was mostly walkthrough and scripting stuff, and so he's feeling better, but he's questionable for Sunday.
This isn't specific to last game, but what are your thoughts on the last 2-minute report, and do you ever really pay any attention to
No,
it?
I don't pay attention to that.
What do you feel like, late game offense, what are you noticing about when things go wrong, and where do you guys think you can feel?
Well, number one, Houston was great. I think we have to give them the credit they deserve before anything. But we've got to get better organized. I think Steph mentioned that. The other night. That's what we worked on today. We've got to get to our spots in an exact way, and we've got to be sharp with our passing. The other night I thought our passing was off kilter quite a bit, both mid game and late game. Fundamental passing is a key to a good offense because it keeps the rhythm going. As soon as you throw a bad pass, it's off target. You lose the rhythm, the defense is back in your chest. So I think both those things, but we've got to do a better job as a staff of getting the guys into position to make a play and to be better positioned when they're facing the kind of defensive pressure that Houston gave us.
What kind of patience does that sometimes require to work through lengthy possessions when you're getting defended?
Yeah, it requires patience. It requires pressure releases. So we have to give our guys a break too. We can't expect Steph to be hounded, his entire 34-minute run up and down the court and not give him a break and not, get other guys handling the ball and getting pressure releases within our actions. And, those are some of the things we're working on.
You guys seem to benefit from playing at a fast pace, but that pace over the course of the game seems to come and go and come and go. What are the keys to trying to maintain that pace, and why is it so difficult?
Yeah, if the other team makes the shot, we got to get it out quick, and we got to run the floor for sure. That's been a big point of emphasis for us this year. Some games are just more physical. That last game was maybe the most physical game we've played all year, and it's hard to keep pace when you're facing that kind of pressure, because you want to make sure you're making good decisions and you're not dribbling into traffic. And that's why I give Houston a lot of credit. The first game that we played down there when we had the big lead and they came back in the second half, some of it was that we were trying to play too fast and we were dribbling into traffic. So you have to find the balance of playing with pace, but also making smart decisions. And when you play against great defenses, that's one of the challenges you face. And I thought Houston did a good job of, keeping us at a slower pace.
Coming into the season, it seemed that you were fairly satisfied with the amount of shooting you had. In the first few weeks of the season, it looked like things were going pretty well. Do you still feel you have enough shooting, or is it true that you can never have too much?
Right, you can never have too much. I think losing Melton was a big part of, what we've seen the last few weeks, because what you really need is two-way. You need a shooter who can also defend, and so that you're not having to make decisions based on offense or defense. And so I think we have plenty of shooting. I think, We're trying to find combinations that fit. There are times when we put a combination on the floor where maybe it's a little too heavily slanted towards the offense or the defense, and now we're scrambling a little bit. So we're deep, but we still have to really manage the full 48 in terms of balancing our rotations.
Steph mentioned the other night that if you guys can't get better organized and find ways to close games, that you're bound to be quote unquote mediocre. When you hear something like that, what do you take away from that?
Well, number one, he's right, because the West especially is just loaded, and we're 14-10. We feel like we've given away 3 games, but that's the margin for error between being at the top of the West and being in the middle of the pack. And so what Steph is saying is right. We keep giving away games, and we're in the middle of the pack. That makes us mediocre. So What I like is that we've had 24 games. We've been blown out one time. That was in Cleveland. We're competing every single night. We're giving ourselves a chance to win every single night. Now it's a matter of cleaning some things up, handling situations better at both ends of the floor. I think this week of practice, we have one game in the next 7 days, and so we'll have 4 good practices. I think it really allows us to address some of these situational things in our late game offense, late quarter stuff. And it's on us as a group, coaches, players. It's on us to make these improvements and start closing these games out.
I know you didn't want to talk about the other night as far as the one game and basically a week's stretch now, but how beneficial will that be for both on your guys' bodies and just to work on the small things?
Yeah. I mean, it's the silver lining. We'd rather be in Vegas playing tomorrow, obviously, but we're not, so let's take advantage of the schedule. Get some rest, get guys healthy, get some good practices in, and get sharp, for what's ahead.
There was, it seemed at least, a hint of discord for the first time the other night with Brandon and Buddy and Gary. Kind of looked like they were kind of jawing at each other. Did you sense that? Do you see that? I mean, is that something that you noticed?
I didn't even notice it. To be honest, that anytime you lose or you're in a bad stretch, that usually happens. And those guys are all fine together. There's nothing personal. It's just it's a highly competitive game, and everybody's on edge. We're just trying to win, so that doesn't concern me at all. Thank you.
Lindy, as someone who's played at so many different levels, what are the benefits of actually being able to have a stretch of practice like this? Because you don't really get to have these stretches in an NBA season.
Yeah, I mean, we're taking advantage of them. Unfortunate in the situation, but you gotta, stay in the present moment and know we got, a couple practices, can figure out where we can get better, execution. And yeah, we don't get stretches like this at all during the season, so we're just gonna take advantage of them.
Seems like execution and organization are kind of like the big focuses right now. Like, what do you think needs to happen for you guys to be organized down the stretch?
Just staying on the same page, communication. It doesn't matter what play we run or, what we're doing, as long as 5 guys on the court are on the same exact page, we'll execute.
You guys are all professionals in that locker room, but is a loss like the Houston game tough to reset mentally from?
I don't think so. I think, obviously it hurt for, a few hours after that. And, when you wake up, it's, you got to figure out how you can get better the next day. And you watch the film and, everyone, including myself, have things that we can get better at. And, you got to look to the next game, and you can't, sit there and, your own pity or your own thoughts and feelings. You got to, be a professional and get up out of there and figure out how you can get better.
What were some of the things that the film revealed?
Carelessness with the ball, turnovers. I know I had a few of those, and execution down the stretch, getting on the same page. But in the grand scheme of things, it's like it feels like it's huge, but then you look at the film and it's like little things that you can clean up. So we're not going to overreact to it, and we're going to be better.
What do you think is the biggest difference between the way things went the first 3 weeks and the last 3 weeks?
It's not like we've been just getting blown out every game. I think the only game that might have happened was Cleveland. Every game we've been in, we've had chances to win, had chances to close, and sometimes the way the ball bounces is unfortunate. But then the ball bounces your way some nights, and you get the win. So just cleaning up like little things, like I said, we'll be all right.
So is this like a slump?
Nah.
Because at first you guys at one point, I think right around mid-November, you guys had like 6 guys shooting 50% from three or better. Those numbers have dropped since then. How much of it is shooting and how much of it is being scouted, and are these factors involved?
I mean, the ball's going to go in. You know, you're going to miss on night-to-night basis. The defensive schemes. Everything you can take into account. You can, from the outside, you can think it's a slump, but like I said, we've been in every single game. We've had chances to win a lot of games, but I would never call that a slump.
You brought up that you guys have been in every single game. Steve said the same thing as far as Cleveland was the only real blowout loss. Is there a level of frustration in there, or is it more so, hey, we've lost a few games, but we know that we've been in every single game, and indicate that as a positive?
Yeah, definitely staying optimistic about it, taking it as a positive for sure. We're right there. We clean up a couple turnovers here, a couple execution play calls down the stretch, get maybe one or two more offensive rebounds, one or two more stops, and you're sitting pretty. Got a couple more wins. We're not really overreacting to it.
Are some of these things fundamental?
Some of them are. Yeah, some of them are. Like a couple of my turnovers. Those are just fundamentals. Simple passes, simple plays, trying to keep things simple. I know we're trying to play fast, offensive and defensively, so sometimes you can get sped up. But if you just, pull up off the gas and play at 90%, you can make simpler decisions and keep the game simple.
You guys do seem to benefit when you play with a certain pace, but it's hard to maintain that. Why is it hard to maintain that pace? Because early in the season, it was like we got a bunch of guys that can play, we can swap them in and out because we can maintain the pace that way. And it worked well for a little bit, but not so well now. The pace is kind of coming and going.
Yeah, I mean, it goes with, like, your defense. Your defense helps your offense. So if you're getting stops, it's really easy to play with pace, get out run in transition. But, if you get sat in a half-court game, it's hard to get your pace into the game.
So with Clay already having made his big return, do you view Sunday's game as a bit less of an emotional night? You know what I mean?
For me, no. I wasn't a part of that great dynasty. And I think, maybe the homecoming has already, subsided. So, I think we're just looking at it as the Dallas Mavericks, and they're coming in here to our home court, and we got to protect it.
Do you looked at standings very much?
I have not, no.
At all this season?
Maybe a couple weeks ago. I haven't taken a look at it at all because I know at the end of the day it's a marathon. So, maybe down the stretch I might take a look at it and see where we're sitting. But, I just try to focus on what I can do to be better.
Yeah. Number 30 said something the other night that was, he sort of indicated that, if we don't clean this up, we're going to be mediocre. When you hear something like that, are you looking at it going, yeah, this is an issue, or are you looking at it and saying that, no, that's not us? How do you look at that?
We just, like I said, everyone has something they can do to be better. So, and we got to be professionals about it, and we got to clean it up. So, yeah, if we don't clean it up, we will be mediocre. So, hey, he's right. He's our leader, and whatever he says, we're going to listen to him. Appreciate you.
Obviously, you guys won the win the other night in Houston, but Steve Kerr was talking about a little bit silver lining-wise. Now you guys have one game basically a week. How beneficial do you think that is body-wise and just for you guys to work on the organizational things?
I think it's really beneficial for us to, get some more practice time in. During the NBA season, it's really hard to get really good practices in. So over this little time, we got more practices than games. So we have to work on all the execution things, all the small things that we keep talking about on film that we actually can go out there on the practice court and work out the kinks.
Obviously, the offense got a little stagnant down there. Execution-wise, what do you think needs to be the main focus to keep it going throughout the game?
We just gotta get organized. Sometimes we get to playing just in chaos and no structure sometimes, and we've always been kind of good at that. But down the stretch, and we got to be able to execute. Got to get guys in their spots. We know who we want to take the shots. We kind of know who's going to be in the action, but we got to make sure everybody else is spaced right and knowing where the cut's going to be and different things like that.
What jumped out about the film from the Houston game?
Just about our organization down the stretch. We got decent shots down the stretch, but it was just the small things throughout the game that kind of, we could have put the game away a little earlier. On both sides of the court, just the small details. Them guys made shots, they made plays, but we would have executed the things, taking out a couple threes or not turning the ball over or just having our right space in it. We'd have probably closed it out better.
I see you before games shooting threes, getting your shot going.
Right.
I haven't seen one in a game yet. Are you allowed to shoot threes?
I'm allowed, but the way our offense kind of flows, sometimes I'm not. My job most of the time is to make sure the ball changes the size of the floor, and I'm allowed to pick and roll. So I'm never going to pop, especially when you're with Steph. He needs a guy that's going to roll. So when I'm rolling, trying to put pressure on the rim, I usually don't get back out there. I usually stay by the rebound. So one's coming up soon, though. I think I'm gonna get one. Playing pick and roll with JK, BP. They be looking for me sometimes, and they want me to shoot a three. So I think I'm gonna get one up soon.
You guys, when it came to the season, Steve was really pleased with the shooting you guys had. In the first few weeks, it looked pretty good. You had, I think, 6 guys were shooting better than 40% from three. Those numbers have changed dramatically. Are you able to look at that and just kind of figure out, from other guys, why maybe the shooting has dropped as much as it has in the scouting? And what do you see in there?
I think just the ebbs and flow of an NBA season. It's gonna be guys gonna be on hot streaks. Sometimes we're not gonna make as many shots. I think we have great shooters, guys that's been known to shoot the ball well throughout their whole career. So I don't think we were so much worried about that. We just want to make sure guys are getting good looks, and they don't have to really search or force for shots. I think if we execute better and play with more pace, we usually shoot the ball better because we're getting guys better looks. So I think that was more of a thing. I think over the last few games, we kind of we start the game off good, playing with pace, and then we kind of fade, or games where we're not getting stops, and we got to play against the half court more, so those shots are going to be tougher. But if we go out there and play our style of basketball, I think we get our shooters better shots, and when they get good looks, they usually make them.
You guys do seem to benefit from playing with pace.
Yeah.
What's the key to maintaining that? Because you just said, it kind of fades.
I think for us, it's based off us limiting our turnovers and us being able to get stops. Whenever we don't turn the ball over, we play a clean game. We're able to push the ball, get better looks, and also whenever we getting stops and we're not fouling too. That's been one of our biggest things over the last few years is we always foul a lot. So whenever to keep the game flowing, nonstop and playing in transition, we usually play with better pace, and I think we got to continue to do that.
You mentioned fouling a lot, and I have a friend who used to coach basketball. And we were talking about this maybe a month or two ago, and he was saying it's natural you guys foul a lot because this is what he said. He said, because when you're smaller than the other team, playing defense is harder.
Right.
And do you see, is that, maybe a factor in fouling? Is that you're playing against bigger guys almost all the time?
I would say, in theory, that sounds good, but I don't think we're that small. Sometimes we put small lineups out there, but when we put out, certain groups, I don't think we're that small. I think for us, we're trying to. One of our goals this year was to be more physical, and when you're up more physical, you're gonna probably foul a little bit more. And a lot of teams, that's their game plan versus us. Is get really physical, try to push us around, and with that, we're never gonna back down. We want to match their physicality or exceed it, and it kind of turns into fouls. So I think you can see that in the last game where both teams were really, really physical. That's why the game was in the 90s. So I don't think it's so much of our size. I think that's just kind of our identity. We want to be more physical, and guys try to when they play against us, they usually up their physicality. So it's kind of just a natural reaction.
Was that the most physical game this season?
I would probably say so. Yeah, I think so. They brought the physicality in the first quarter, and we kind of matched it, and neither team could score. And it was just out there, playing really physical. It was a lot of fun out there.
Do you think that the last 2-minute report, is it beneficial? Do you ever pay attention?
I ain't pay attention to it. We can't go back and change it. So ain't nothing we can do about it.
One of the themes, it seems, this year has been to have you guys kind of are working to maximize whatever Steph has left. Like every game is kind of like a step closer to not having him. I'm wondering what responsibility or even maybe burden that places on you guys when you go out every game.
I ain't no burden. Steph probably heard you say that. He probably mad. You trying to age him. I think he got a lot left in the tank, and so every game doesn't feel like that. We just try to go out there and win. We don't think about how many years he got left. He's still playing high level basketball. Him, Draymond, they got a lot left in the tank. We just want to go out there and compete and get better every game. Each game is a learning experience, and each game is different. But we don't really think about that. We're just trying to go out there and put the best product on the floor.
I wasn't trying to age.
You gotta tell me, you gotta tell him that.
I mean, 16 years.
I mean, that's a long time, but hey.
What do you think is the biggest difference between the first 3 weeks of the season and these last 3 weeks?
I would just say our attention, just the details of the game. I would say the first 3 weeks we kind of was blowing teams out. In the last few weeks we have a lot more close games. We just haven't been executing those close games. I feel like in every game, a lot of these games we had to have leads. We done been right there to win those games, and we just didn't execute. So I think it's just more the details. When you're coming out of training camp, you're having a lot of practices. You're able to focus on those things, and you're kind of locked in on the small things. As the season kind of goes, there's less practices. Things, the attention detail kinds of fade. You get into some bad habits a little bit. That's why these next 2 weeks is really important. We get a lot of practices, so we get back to focusing on those things and focus on situational things and how we can close games out and how we can learn from the games we lost already this season.